Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Hey guys, what's up? Jin here, back with another episode of the Otakuology Podcast, best podcast in the world, at least in Otaku Mike's opinion.
Blah, blah, what do you say? Blah, 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 the world? That's what I heard.
The world. And world.
You're like blah, blah, blah,
What if,
the world?
what if all the famous lines that we know, or that we think we know, in from movies, did that? Like it was like, Father. What did you say? I said Luke. Father. Oh my gosh. That would be horrible. I would hate movies if they all went.
Yeah, that would definitely be true on that. Yeah.
Especially, well, the worst part about it is really if you were watching it with somebody and they understood that.
Everybody would sound like Charlie Brown's, the parents in Charlie Brown. Yeah.
Right. God, that would suck. Just plain suck. But anyway, let's get into it. We're talking about the Netflix movie Paper Tigers, which is
it's called The Paper Tigers.
Hey, buddy.
There's a the at the beginning.
People don't always use the.
This movie does.
You don't walk around and go, the X-Men.
Yeah, I do.
The can be cut off, okay.
Okay, fine. Whatever. Let's agree to disagree, loser.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just trying to save myself a couple seconds of life by not using the.
The
what if you went around the Otaku Mike? Yes,
the Otaku Mike.
Hello, I'm the Otaku Mike, and you shake hands with people. I'm the Otaku Mike. Oh, Taco Mike, no, call me the Otaku Mike.
You say that, but like my Instagram handle, I think is the Otaku Mike.
Oh my god!
Because I think there are other Otaku Mikes out there.
So you're not like Otaku Mike 97 or anything?
No, I didn't want to do that shit.
Otaku Mike 62.
Yeah.
Hey, you could always be Otaku Mike 69.
That is true.
But back to our subject. We're talking about a Netflix martial arts movie. It's about 2 hours, right?
I think so.
So, and this is really good. I feel like it has a lot of like Karate Kid feel to it. Would you agree with that?
I mean, like Karate Kid / Three Ninjas.
Yeah.
Vibes, yeah.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy how this movie kind of starts out too, because we have these 3 kids that are learning how to do kung fu.
What they call it? They call it gung fu.
Yeah, gung fu. They're like,
which I was a little confused. I was like, "Isn't it kung fu?" But they had to correct me on that.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of how in Shintoism you have Tao, Tao,
yeah.
But you actually pronounce it as Dao.
Okay.
So I think it's just,
And I like this opening sequence where we had like a montage, but it was all sort of filmed through video cameras.
Yeah.
And we got to see them progress in age and, go from kids to teenagers to sort of young adults, and seeing how like their gung fu got better and how they would go and fight in these almost like street fights, but they had like rules to them. What was it called? The thing that they did?
Oh, don't ask me that one.
They would fight with other people, but they would also fight with other schools.
Yeah, you could challenge people, and it was whatever. The
Yeah.
only thing I can relate this to that I actually remember is like in Shaolin Showdown, the show on Cartoon Networks where they would
Uh-huh.
have a Ginyu Budare.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. They call it Baomo, I think it was called. I
Yeah,
think
I kept trying to call it BMO.
it was like Bimo Baomo or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why I can't remember it because I every time I heard it, I was like BMO,
Bimo
BMO,
Bimo.
and it was like BMO's from like a Disney movie or something. I'm never gonna remember this word.
But you know how I love my montages, and this was a good opening montage to see and learn about our three main characters, essentially.
Right, this is
Uh,
true.
yeah, and how they grow, and we learn about them, and uh, they become kind of cocky almost because
That's true.
they become the best in like their field of martial arts. And they're going to go off to fight in Japan in a tournament, and that's where we kind of leave it at, if I remember correctly,
Yeah,
at the beginning, right?
yeah.
Um, but that never happens.
It
Uh,
does happen.
well,
We just
it does.
don't get to see it.
It does, but it doesn't. Like Danny, one of the main characters, never actually fights in Japan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They went to Japan. He like ran off or something.
Yeah,
I
he like
guess
ran
like
off for
his
for
nerves.
for reasons I don't remember if they state what those reasons are exactly.
I think he just said like the tension was high or whatever, and he couldn't get focused.
Maybe.
Because that plays the focusing part for him plays into the movie later on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we have Danny, which is our main kid. He's usually the one that kind of like goes out of his way to do stuff. When we see him as a little kid, they're having trouble standing on paint cans, and Sifu actually gets him to come over, and we find out that basically he got in one of these BMOs.
The Balmo fights,
Yeah,
the
and
sanctioned street fights.
he ended up winning and everything, but the problem is he had his ankle dislocated and was walking around on it.
That's gotta take a lot to walk on a dislocated ankle.
That's true.
Like that scene, like fucking. I winced when I saw that scene where he like pulled it back into place. He was like here, but
So
like
if you ever see chiropractor videos, do you wince
uh-huh.
those too?
No, not really. It's just when it's like something's dislocated or popped out kind of thing.
Okay.
Because
I had actually one that
I think of like, what if I had to go through that? If my arm
yeah.
was like flopping around or whatever. The chiropractor videos don't matter because sometimes those are funny. Because
Yeah.
sometimes like
Well,
people
this
fart.
makes me think whenever somebody gets their neck popped or whatever, and you see
Yeah,
them start like 2 feet away, and the person pulls them, and they end up on the other side of the thing, and you're like, holy shit! how
yeah,
did
yeah,
how did you move them 2 feet?
yeah. But we go to modern day, which is like what was like 25 years later, 30 years later. I think it was
Yeah,
25 years because they start out in '86, I believe. Uh,
yeah. Because I think total they're like over 40 something.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Because then we
and
have Hing,
yeah, we
and
have
Hing
Hing.
Hing is like the nerdy guy. He's the one that wears glasses a lot. Um, and going from there, and then we have Jim, which Jim is the uh African American kid. I guess was their friend in high school or middle school or something,
Yeah,
and
they were
ended up
friends.
joining Sifu.
Yeah, they were all friends, I believe,
So yeah,
and they just joined the this it's not a dojo, it's a school like or school whatever they call it.
yeah. They
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 call
picked like a
they call it
school
like
path.
they call it like a clan, I believe.
Yeah,
Like we're from different clans at one point they say. Um and but yeah, I like how we see them fighting like rivals and stuff, and they have a rivalry with one particular character in this movie, which is really funny. Um and we see like 25 years has passed. Danny is now a father, and he's going to go spend time with this kid. He's a divorced dad, and was his wife or his ex-wife a girl, the girl in the montage beforehand?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I was a little confused on that part.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it did. Okay, yeah.
But not sure too if they're divorced or separated.
I think
Yeah,
they're getting divorced or separated, and they're working on like whatever custody agreement.
yeah,
Like I think they might be in like the midst of it,
yeah,
like figuring it out, because he talks about 50-50 custody and how she was going along with it, but he's not keeping up his end of the bargain, and
yeah.
you know,
Right.
he's very much more like work is he gets really distracted by work and stuff. It seems like he doesn't really have time for his kid,
Right.
you know.
Um, but yeah, we have that. We also have where we see Sifu, who's older, and somebody actually attacks him in an alleyway, and um, that's kind of where we're left off after we see Danny and everything in the future. That that he gets called by Hing because Sifu has died.
No, he doesn't get called by him. King goes to see Danny.
I thought he left him a message on the phone.
I mean, he might have left a message, but he doesn't find out until Hing shows up at Danny's house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he.
I thought he left him a message too saying that, but then he ended up having to go to his house because he wasn't answering the phone.
I mean, he might have. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know
Yeah.
on that part. But yeah, they haven't seen each other in years. It's been, and they had the Tigers had a falling out, and we find out that Danny is the successor to the clan that they're a part of.
Yeah.
And they go to the funeral and they see these punk kids uh, being very disrespectful at the funeral. Uh, uh, they're claiming the tiger's Sifu as their Sifu,
Yeah.
and we meet the other school, which is I don't remember what the other school is, but I remember their master being like Sifu Wong, I believe he
Yeah.
was called.
I think they both practiced the same things, but they had just different teaching ways.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Carter was under that one.
Yeah, Carter was their rival, and I love the interactions between them because they haven't seen each other for years, and he's very much kept with his studies,
Yeah.
and he's like bulked up, and he's back in the day he would always lose. He
Yeah.
always lost, and he very much seems like one of those people like you would meet in like college who very much goes for the like Japanese studies or Chinese studies and like fully like engrosses themselves into like the culture.
Yeah.
That's what Carter seemed like to me.
That's
Uh
true.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think from my interpretation of Carter, it seems that he is very like uh monkish because he tries to like learn all the words and sound like really
Uh-huh.
like um philosophical and everything,
Yeah.
but then be strong at the same time. So it's just a lot of
Uh
the times I felt really weird when he would quote something in Chinese and it was like, okay,
well, I like the running
speak of
joke
the
in this.
English.
I like the running joke in this where they say, "Hey, we don't understand what you're saying. Speak
Yeah,
English."
yeah,
Like it's a running joke throughout this movie.
right, yeah,
Like it's more like if you don't use it, you lose it type of situation, and they don't know like Cantonese or whatever Mandarin, whatever they're speaking.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and his were all like proverbs and stuff from different things, which I always thought it was funny too because he like handed them out, like
yeah.
tried to like use his hands to depict what was going.
Yeah, it's very much like he got a bunch of fortune cookies and just memorized all the fortunes or whatever,
Yeah,
because they call him like a walking fortune cookie at one point, I
yeah,
believe, or
yeah.
something like that. And their school, is non-existent anymore because they walked away from it, and uh,
Well, and it was also out of a garage, so
yeah, it was also at a garage. It wasn't like an official school, I think. I don't know if their Sifu made any money off of this because he was
off
also
of
like
what?
teaching martial arts.
I don't think so. I think he made all his money just from cooking Chinese food,
Yeah, he was like a cook, and
which is how the delinquent guys that came to the funeral actually knew Sifu. They actually worked with him at this restaurant.
they wanted them to teach them how to do like his style of gung fu and be their gung fu master, and but they don't have a master. Like they're what do they call them? Like masterless gung fu delinquents or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's kind of like a Ronin for samurai. They don't have anybody to show them.
yeah,
But I thought it was
and
pretty cool where their hideout was too, because it seemed like really. That was the other thing I think I enjoyed about this is it was very like late '90s
yeah, it
ish,
does.
like
Yeah,
kung fu movies.
but it was like set in like modern day,
Yeah,
and which is funny because, so I love uh Carter puts them on the trail of these delinquents and says, "Hey, maybe these delinquent guys did it," and uh they go off to find Jim, and we find Jim has like was that his like MMA boxing gym?
I believe so.
And he's like,
Either that or it was like you kind of rented space.
yeah, and he's working there now, and we see this part where uh Hing, which I liked Hing. I liked all these characters. But
I did too. It
Hing
seemed like even though they all kind of had like the same like upbringing that they had, that none of them seemed like they were like each other.
yeah, they weren't like each other, and they were all kind of very much flawed characters in a way,
Oh
which
yeah,
which
yeah,
made them really likable.
yeah. Because one of the things we forgot to mention is Hing actually has a brace on his leg, and we found out that like 5 years ago in the past of modern day, he actually fell off some scaffolding and ended up basically like doing a good amount of damage to his leg, where he has to have the brace to help him walk and everything.
Yeah, yeah. So he kind of has like a handicap in that situation. But I like this part where they he kind of like starts talking smack, but he is right about it about the guy's kick and the way his form is. He's like kicking like a heavy bag, and I love the interaction between him and the old trainer. I don't remember what the trainer's name is. He's like, "Come get over here!" Like he was like, "Do you have asshole blindness?" I think it was. He said,
Yeah,
"Can't you see I'm teaching?" And Hing gets in and starts to try to show you how to actually kick, and he kind of whiffs it, and that's when Jim comes into a picture, and they end up patching things up for Sifu and going on this quest to find out what exactly happened to their Sifu. And then we
yeah,
get to the
and it much kind of turns into a detective movie after that.
yeah, very much so. Not like fully a detective movie, but it is. I would say there are elements of a detective movie, like a mystery is afoot.
Yeah,
And I love this
There's a
scene.
there's a Jackie Chan detective movie.
I love this scene where they do confront the thugs or the gung fu thugs,
Yeah,
and they're practicing at like this abandoned pool.
yeah.
Uh, and they start talking smack to him like, "Oh, it's the paper tigers, blah, blah, blah. You're old and fat." And uh, one of them throws the N word at Jim, which makes
Oh
Jim
yeah.
really
I
upset.
was like, excuse me?
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna kill you."
Right,
Uh,
yeah.
but they need information. They're the closest people to uh, their Sifu, and they're gonna do a Bamo fight, which is 3-on-3. What it seems like the Bamo kind of changed. Uh, where
Yeah,
it had different rules at
yeah,
different times.
it depends on what the set rules are because um you talk about it ahead of time. Is it a BMO 3-on-3
Uh huh.
or is it a 1-on-1?
Yeah.
And then you just agree, is it 1 round? Is it, 3 rounds? Because like we see when they're younger, most of the time a BMO is only 1 round, one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we see this one where it's 3 people, 1 round, and then towards the end of the movie we see 1-on-1, 3 rounds.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it all just kind of depends on what you agree with and things like that, I
Yeah, and
guess,
like the
for it.
the the last time we see it, like they switch off. So like one round, there's an attacker, and you can't get hit, and then the next person attacks, and you can't get hit. Like that's how you win the round
Yeah,
and stuff. But this fight was crazy. Like I liked the choreography in this movie. I loved
yeah,
this fight. Uh, in this, it was funny. Like it had a nice comedic element to it.
yeah,
And not Jim, Danny just gets like knocked the fuck out. Like you could tell he is definitely rusty
yeah,
in in the situation. And I love how they like revive him with like gung fu like healing techniques
yes.
where he kind of it's almost like his soul left his body and he like or gets knocked out and they like
You know
revive
what
him.
this reminded me of?
What?
Uh, like in Doctor Strange or whatever with the ancient one when she would hit the people and their soul
Oh
would come out.
yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
That's what it would remind me of. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
they're getting their soul knocked out again. Boop.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. Um, but yeah, Danny gets his ass kicked. He gets knocked out. Then Hing goes in, and Hing does win, but he does have trouble. Did you see his hair move at the beginning of the fight?
Yeah,
I thought that part was funny. Where the guy points it out, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta fix my hair," and it's we find out later it's a toupee.
yeah.
But
He no longer has no hair.
yeah, Hing has no hair, and he ends up winning. And the next one is probably the funniest, which is Carter. And Carter kind of seemed like to forget his training almost because he did learn
You
other
mean
martial
Jim?
arts. Or
You
sorry,
mean
Jim. Yeah,
Jim?
sorry, Jim. Yeah,
Yeah,
my bad, Jim. Yeah,
yeah. Well, and so if you notice on the door, you know what it kind of turned into a little
yeah,
bit, which makes sense. But they really bring it out if you miss that what it said on the door and everything. This is where you really see what it was because they actually bring it up. Um, After the whole thing with Danny in Japan, he actually kind of like left all of that gung fu behind,
yeah.
and he might have used it like a little bit, but then he really went for more of Krav Maga.
Like yeah, Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, stuff like that.
Because I
And
think because we also see him showing somebody like how to box. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, he's got a couple different things.
yeah.
But
It was
I love where they're getting ready because before you do everything, you do like your form, your stance
yeah.
to kind of show off, and and we see
He's
the
like,
other guy.
I forgot it. I forgot it. I don't know.
Yeah, we're seeing the other guy that does his, and then he kind of turns around. He's like, I forgot mine. I forgot how to do that. I don't know. And everybody's just kind of sitting there like the delinquents
Duh.
and the other two are like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, like what the fuck? What the fuck's going on?
So
Yeah. But he ends up winning. Right? He ends up winning, right?
yeah, both of them win.
Yeah, because he ends up like choking the guy out.
Yeah, he
Which
puts him in a sleeper hold.
yeah, seeing the clashes of styles was a really nice like juxtaposition,
Yeah.
uh to see like the gung fu versus like the Krav Maga Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, because
Well, and then the different kinds of like the gung fu, like
yeah,
you could very much tell that between um Danny's kind of team and everybody that there was more of a structure thing versus the delinquents because all of theirs were like these big flashy moves and everything else versus like Carter's school and how it stuck with the main five animals of kung fu.
yeah,
Um and then him, like naming it off, as he did it. So
yeah,
everybody kind of got to have their own little style, I guess, to what gung fu they had.
yeah. That's true, and they do win, and they have like little heart to heart with the delinquents, and they find out that they wanted to become his students, and but he would not take them on whatsoever. Like,
Right.
he wouldn't bring on new students, and he wouldn't teach them. He gave up martial arts, right?
He gave up teaching a lot of people because of them.
Because he had ungrateful students before,
Yeah.
because they like basically abandoned him, eh,
Right.
and like went off and did their own thing. Except for Hing. Hing didn't really abandon him, but he did.
Hing Hing was with him for a while, and then after Hing's problem and the shit that happened with Danny and Sifu, um, it took him out of wanting to teach anybody anything. So the only thing him
Yeah,
and Hing really practiced were that the healing hand things for gung fu
yeah,
and medicine practice. I think is what the other thing he said.
yeah,
Um, so I mean, it just really took out of Sifu, and then Hing just one day decided that he wasn't going to go to something, and kind of just realized that it was easier to do that, and he still had intentions to go see Sifu, but then it just a day turned into a week, turned into a month, turned into a year,
yeah.
and he hadn't seen Sifu in like 2 years, I believe, was what they said.
I think so. I think that's what it was.
So
But they end up leaving there, going back to Carter, right? In Carter's school.
yeah, because they were pissed off. Carter originally put them on the trail to go after the delinquents.
Yes.
Um, and they went back because after that, everybody kind of sat back and thought about it and knew that basically Carter had lied to them.
He set him up.
Uh, yeah, to go attack these delinquent guys,
Yeah.
and so they were going back to confront Carter about that and everything else.
Yeah. And this is where we have another BMO fight with Carter and the three of them. And this fight is a lot of fun. I love this fight because you can definitely tell the rivalry between them. And Carter fucking hates their guts. Like, he can't stand them whatsoever. Uh, like there's like a true rivalry between them, especially him and Danny.
Yes.
Carter and Danny, man, they're like oil and fire, you
Oil
know,
and water.
oil and water. Sorry, uh, and I love the fights. Like he takes out Jim, he takes out uh Hing, and when he takes out Hing, we find out that Hing is bald now, and uh, I love the thing where Carter takes his wig and puts it as almost like a trophy on his weapon
Yeah.
that he had, which was really funny. And he almost takes out Danny, or he kind of does take out Danny as well. And that's when he gets stopped by his Sifu. Is it Sifu Wong?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sifu Wong. Um,
I
and
mean, but he also has like good words of, I wouldn't say advice, but he also
yeah,
has good words for all of them. Like when he fights Jim, he really gets onto him. He's like, "You've lost your way. You know, you decided to go with all of these flashier styles or whatever, and you've lost your gung fu."
yeah,
Um, you know, with Hing, he's like, you focus on your cosmetic stuff too much, you know, and don't really think, you know, things through. And then, you know, Danny gets up there and he's like, Danny, you just, you know,
you
have
lost everything.
nothing for it. Yeah.
Yeah, you lost everything. But
So
we do find out that there was somebody challenging all the Sifu masters, the Gung Fu masters around town, and Carter ended up getting a letter. Right? He got a letter, and he basically chickened out.
yeah, he left the lights off and waited waited in a dark dojo for the person to leave.
But supposedly, uh, their Sifu took on another student, and
Yeah.
he like basically went rogue and started taking on all the other schools.
Yes.
Uh, and we find out that's who actually killed Sifu.
Yes.
Because we end up finding out that he is a gung fu assassin, as they called him, because
Yes.
he uses the poison finger technique.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
But yeah, and I mean that's one of the other things too that we're told, you know, that Sifu wasn't really teaching anybody because they asked Hing if he had ever learned the poison finger, and he said no. You know,
yeah,
that wasn't something they just practiced the healing stuff, and so for him to actually do that gets a little crazy.
yeah,
Um, but they go to like I guess it's like an underground training gym, kind of sort
yeah.
of.
You said it was for like journeyman, like, and it was run by like the Triad or something.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
this is probably one of the parts that I thought was really hilarious
oh yeah,
because they all were walking and they just hear how the person's kicking the bag, which is what we got alluded to was going to happen when Hing first went into Jim's kind of like dojo
yeah,
sparring area and everything.
yeah,
And as you see them walking in, they just all start stopping.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, they start stopping and listening, like, "Oh, is that him? Nope, that's not the sound. That's not the sound." Then they hear the sound, the
Yeah.
sound, like it's like the snap of the bag, um, and like, okay, it was cool to see how like that's how they knew how the person was or who the person
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
like just by
There he
listening.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, and they end up going to like this Chinese restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And Hing goes to the bathroom and he's in there with the guy that they're following and he uses the poison finger technique and then um
But when you see it looks like it's just a pat on the back.
yeah, it looks like it's just a pat on the back and then like moments later the guy goes back to his table. He like fucking dies.
Yes.
Yeah. I love the scene where they could go to confront this gung fu assassin.
Outside the little restaurant thing.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Well, how'd you stop him?" Like, we kicked over his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like, you did what?
Kicked it over. Now he can't leave.
Yeah, no, can't leave.
He'll be stuck here. You know.
Yeah, which is not true whatsoever.
No, this dude was like super strong.
Oh, so fucking strong, man. Like, he
And
was
then
crazy.
you know, there's parts that we're actually leaving out, which are when the Danny's ex-wife or whatever calls him and talks about, oh, you know, what's all this, you know,
Yeah,
and where his priority lies of trying to get all this stuff with Shifu instead of, you know, spending time with his little boy.
yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I need you to go pick him up." He's like, "Oh, right now's not a good time. You know, I got to do this," and they they have a challenge for 10 o'clock on the pier, and we find out that he is actually this gung fu guy is also the what do they call it? They called it something specific. Is it the Daihing?
Oh, the Dasahing?
Dasahing, yeah. Which that was supposed to be Danny. Um but yeah. And then Danny goes to pick up his kid from school. His kid got into a fight. You know, he has to do the whole thing about explaining to his kid's mom that, you know, what are we gonna do? You know, how are we gonna do this? You know, like it just
Yeah.
the whole thing about lying to for his telling his kid to lie and stuff and whatnot, you know,
Yeah.
which is a very sad moment to because it makes Danny to looks like makes Danny be like a really selfish asshole.
Yeah. I mean, and then he kind of redeems himself a little bit because he's
Yeah,
like, well, let me tell you what really happened.
yeah. Let me tell you what really happened. You know.
But I mean, he kind of does it for himself and then to not, you know, which I also like too that he was trying to say, you know, why is he getting in trouble for somebody beating him up?
Yeah, because he was defending somebody.
Yeah, but he didn't, you know, he didn't even like fight really, you know, and that was the another thing um with that really
Yeah,
and her getting mad at him and everything else and then not letting him like say bye to Danny, you know, that's pretty
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. No, it was. It definitely was. Um, yeah. And so Hing go. Well, they end up having like a break. They end up like having a falling out because
Yeah.
they all know that they're not gonna be able to win, and they you know they're out of shape. You know, they're not the people who they used to be,
Right.
and so they all separate. Hing goes off to fight this guy. I don't remember if he gets a name. I can't
I
remember if he
I
gets a
can't
name.
remember.
He
I
goes
can't
out
remember.
he goes out to fight this guy. I don't know remember what Jim does, but Danny goes just to be with his kid and stuff and talk to his wife and Hing gets beat up so fucking bad. I thought they killed him.
Yeah.
Like I thought he ended up dying. But that's not true because he ended up being thrown on Carter's school and it's basically said, "I don't want number two. I want number one." You know, or one before two. You know, um, and that's when like thing
His name is uh uh Hin Fan.
that's his name.
Yeah.
I had no idea what his name was the whole movie.
They must have like brought it up once and we just never got it. Because I didn't know that either. I was like, what?
Wow, that's something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, they end up meeting up again and doing one final BMO fight. Um, this was cool. I like this fight. Although I feel like Jim kind of got the short end of the stick on this part because he had no real involvement in the BMO fight.
Yeah.
He was kind of just there. I guess like if Danny lost, would Jim have to fight?
No, he said that if it happened, that he was going to throw both of them off the roof
Yeah, because it was like on
if he
top of a
won.
roof.
Yeah. No, I really think that the biggest reason why Jim was there was it was a semblance of them taking their Japan trip again.
Uh huh.
Both of them in it together.
Yeah,
Because he wasn't the one that got chosen to do the Japan thing. It was
he was like the second,
yeah,
like the substitute basically.
yeah. But it was Jim and Danny, and so I felt that, and then they kind of reconciled a little bit, talking about that.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't have the nerves to do that, and some other stuff, and
yeah,
you know, so more of
yeah,
that really comes out that we can see.
yeah. No, I like the um this whole fight because Danny kind of like Danny's trying to get his groove back, I guess you could say, and he's very much unsure about what he's gonna do, how he's gonna do this. He's gonna die, Uh, there's a whole part where Jim gives him like special pills. The special pills turn out to be just sugar pills. It's like a whole placebo effect thing. And I love
Yeah,
this. This fight was really good. Like I liked it. Like you could tell, like Danny was like having to overcome some shit because he was
yeah,
outmatched in a lot of ways.
most def.
Yeah, it was crazy because he had to attack the guy. I don't remember what his name is, and then if he hit him, he would win that round, and then it would
Fan.
reverse. Yeah, Fan. It would reverse, and then Fan would try to hit Danny, and then at the end they do like an all out fight.
Yeah.
And man, I felt like after the whole fight, and like Fan like gets his neck broken and becomes paralyzed. I was like,
I don't
oh,
I don't think he got his neck broken.
what was
I
it?
think I think Danny did not the poison finger, but I think he did something else like that, and it actually paralyzed Fan.
Okay.
Because when if you were watching it, when the cop says hello, hello, or the 911 dispatcher, hello, hello, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna send people on your way. He's trying to struggle to reach for the phone. He's trying to struggle to say something, and I think just how he was hit
Uh-huh.
made him unable to move and unable to talk.
Okay, okay. I thought maybe he hit like a wall, and I heard like a cracking sound. I thought he broke his neck and paralyzed himself.
Yeah,
That's what I thought happened. But yeah, it was fucking brutal. Like it was brutal to like the fight was like it was a brutal fight. It was
yeah, it was.
yeah. Um But I love the ending where they're all like at the community center and they're helping out this part of the town. Hing's doing medicine. Jim's teaching like self defense, I think. And then I'm a little confused on this part. Did
Yeah.
did Danny reopen the school? And was his son
No,
his first student?
I think he was just training his son how to do stuff.
Okay, okay.
But they were putting it on YouTube. So
Yeah, they were. And they're famous now. They're well, they were famous before, but like they're famous and not a disgraceful way, I guess. you
Yeah.
know, yeah, and that's how our movie ends. Let me ask you, what did you think about this movie?
I really liked it. Um,
Right? It was fun.
yeah. I mean, especially coming off of watching and being a big fan of a bunch of other kind of martial arts movies and stuff.
Uh huh.
It was fun, and I think it made it even better because it wasn't so much, oh hey, we're filming a movie of these people that are supposed to be at like their peak performance and everything.
Which
We're
they're not.
filming it, we're filming it of your average modern day, because I mean even like old guys that you see in some Asian movies and stuff are
Yeah.
still like, oh, like they still have these tricks that you're like, what?
Yeah, it very much plays with the tropes of like martial arts films,
Yes.
and it plays with your expectations because you think they're gonna do good, and like they pull a hamstring, or or something happens, they get hurt. Like they're not what they once used to be.
Yeah. I mean, like Hing is a walking disaster in and of himself. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
he's like, I'm gonna throw a kick. Oh wait, I can't do it.
Yeah, so he is more like hand to hand type of combat. He didn't
So
really kick that much.
no, I really feel like he wasn't even like the fighter. He was more of just the support healer of the group.
I think he became the support healer because of his injuries.
Yeah.
Because they
So
even mention at one point like Jim's the best one they got, and
yeah.
Jim doesn't remember his gung fu.
Right. Right. And they think that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, because he is the most physically fit out of all of them. Um, but yeah, I thought this was fun. Like, I enjoyed all the characters. I did feel like my only real complaint is the bad guy didn't get a lot of development, and he
yeah.
he seemed very like one note like type of bad guy. Like it was very like a paper thin bad guy. He wasn't like
Yeah. And this is true.
anything
I
special.
mean, he didn't really have on screen character development. It was all off
I mean,
screen.
he only shows up halfway through the movie.
Not even
You
that.
know,
I'd say the last one third.
yeah, yeah, he doesn't show up. Like, you know, but like I enjoyed it. Like, it was a fun movie. It it
Yes.
The
Uh,
characters were very relatable.
I
Like
think I only had really one complaint out of the whole thing.
what was that? Because you told me you had a complaint about it, and I want to hear what that
Yeah.
was.
So my complaint was the whole kind of dad part with Danny. He tried
Uh
to
huh.
argue with Hing that he was a good dad and all this other stuff, and then right at the end, like trying to like settle up. I felt like that kind of went against his character from what we had seen starting out,
Uh huh.
and it just really, I
You're
think it
talking.
kind of watered his character down a little bit.
You're talking about like when he was settling up because he thought he was gonna die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going off to do the fight.
Yeah.
He was in the car calling his kid.
Yes.
Okay. How so? Like, why do you think
um
that?
just because I think he didn't really try and like push anything further into it, like we see him as being this character before, and even if he lost it, he kind of lost the cockiness, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
And him trying to somewhat try and get it back, I just think that it just never was cohesive enough with his character in the future, with how we kind of saw him throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So that was probably about my only complaint about
No,
that.
I can see that, but I didn't have like a real problem with that. You know.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
interesting.
but I mean, I did think, it did take a lot of balls, especially with how you and I have to cooperate with somebody else. Of
Yeah,
him really getting on the phone and being like,
yeah.
"I'm a horrible parent. You're
Like
the
no, I mean
better one." Da da
it's
da.
it's very relatable. Like
It
that
is.
part was very relatable.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at least for me and you, I think that you and I are probably better parents than the other people. But that's never going to get said or whatever because
That's here nor there.
yeah, stubborn people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I had a lot of fun with this movie.
yeah,
It was a nice change of pace. It wasn't to me it didn't feel like your typical martial arts movie.
yeah.
And I that's what I kind of liked about it. But I haven't watched a martial arts movie in quite some time. A lot of mine are from like the 90s that I watched. So I mean,
Well,
things have changed.
you bet he watches a lot of martial arts movies.
Okay.
So that's about it. I mean, I really enjoy them in historical medieval type pieces of movies. So
Yeah.
that's usually
Yeah.
all the ones that I get, or superheroes.
Definitely recommend checking this one out. This one was a fun ride.
Yes,
It was fun.
yes, I would highly recommend this to everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should check it out and try it.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Check out some of our other episodes and whatnot. And as always, see you next Tuesday. Now me and Mike have to have a, what was the word again? Gumbao.
Bamo.
Yeah, we got to have a BAMO.
Okay.